Today, we're just south of the Danforth at Withrow Park, talking about one of the most unique houses that I've ever seen. The house was modeled after the industrial lofts of New York, and we're here talking to Darko, the homeowner, who's super passionate about modern design. I'm Brind, and welcome to 643 Carlaw. This house is so special that I felt it was almost impossible for me to explain it. And so having you sit down with us is truly special, so thank you. First off, my question for you is, where did the inspiration come from this house? Because it's so detailed, every floor, every small window frame. Where did it come from?
Well, Adam, we have a simple, modern house. But with that in mind, you look obviously to Japanese design, nature being integrated into the living environment. Another major influence probably the New York brownstones, right, with a sort of slightly industrial look, brick and glass. I would say inside the interior design is influenced by ideas of modern architecture with no embellishments, with sort of simple and elegant lines.
Right. So what are some of the things that you did to bring the outside in?
The best feature of this house is Withrow Park.
Right.
You're across the road from this magnificent park, and the idea was to bring the park in.
Right.
So we opened the house, rebuilt the front of the house to invite the park inside. When you enter the house, right, you have a small indoor garden. You enter the house, but you still feel that you're outside. It's a sort of a transitional space.
Now, I think you mentioned you were originally going to go with an olive tree on the inside of the house, but ended up with a ficus tree. So what changed that? And I mean, it's a pretty amazing feature. Maintenance on that is like totally like having an indoor plant. How does that work?
Well, we wanted to have a living tree inside the house. Olive tree was our preference, but unfortunately it would not do well in the location, so the nursery people suggested a ficus tree, which is also cool because it's an evergreen tree. So even in winter, in dead of winter, you walk into the house and you're still surrounded by lush greenery.
Wow. And this house has so many details, endless really. I mean, it's impossible to mention them all here. What challenged you about building this house?
Well, I would say that the main challenge really is envisioning this house as a modern house that will still feel as if it's been here for a century.
Right.
So in order to do that, we wanted it to stand out, obviously, but we wanted to blend in as well.
Right.
So that's the challenging part.
Timeless.
Yes, designing the whole thing. Everything else is technical. The bricks, we sourced them so that they are made in Ontario size, so to
right,
match the original look and feel of the original brick of the house.
Right, and then you brought some of the old bricks to the inside as a cladding. Now, how'd you do that?
Well, that was a hard labor of love.
Yeah.
There was a lot of brick that was left after demolishing the old house, and we wanted to put it to good use. And we felt that we should honor the history of the original house by retaining that brick. Some of it is used on the outside, mixed in with the new brick, but most of it is actually used on the inside. Old brick was cleaned, the faces of it were cut into 3/4 inch veneer brick pieces, and then they were installed over 1,200 feet of
wow,
interior walls.
So that's why the interior walls look like they're 100 years old.
Exactly.
Can you talk to us a little bit how you paid homage to the neighborhood and the house?
Yes, well, some of it is, as I mentioned, the brick was intentional. Others were unintentional, just imposed themselves upon us. For example, that huge boulder that you saw as you entered the house, it's a massive chunk of granite, some 2.5 tons of granite that was dragged over here from the Canadian Shield.
Wow.
During the last glaciation by glaciers.
Wow.
And once the floor was lowered, it just appeared and said, I want to stay here.
Right. So yeah, there's no removing that boulder. And I guess you just poured concrete around it, put the interior, like the floor heating around it, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We kept it there as piece of this garden feel as you entered the house, and as well as it just uncovered a little bit of geological history of the house. So.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, you also somehow integrated the fact that this was native land at some point. How did you do that?
That's another little story. These carved sinks that were made by a native artisan cooperative just jumped out and said,
So the sinks we see on this floor and on the master bedroom, those are actually hand-carved sinks by a native artisan.
yeah.
That's incredible.
And then later I learned that Withrow Park was actually a settlement, a native settlement
Wow.
for a long time.
It sounds like you've gone to the ends of the world to find materials for this house.
May feel that way. It's all sourced through distributors here. It does come from around the world. So brick is from the United States, some flooring is from Spain, and there's a lot of material from Italy. The lighting, the kitchen is from Italy, and then some local artisans were employed as well for metalwork, for some of the furniture that you saw in the lower level. So it's eclectic.
Wow.
Mix, trying to maintain this idea of clean yet warm and inviting looking house.
And so I find too, when people move into houses, they get a sense of something different. Or is there anything in the house that's kind of shocked you, or your favorite part of the house that maybe you didn't expect? Like, what's surprised you after you've been living here?
Once it was built, then I'm overwhelmed. It's better than what we thought it would be. So I loved sitting in the sitting room next to a fireplace, looking at the park. And the park is really lively.
Yeah. Wow.
People watching, dog watching, arts happening in the park, seasons changing. It's never boring.
And obviously it doesn't hurt that it's west facing and you get the beautiful sunset there every night in the middle of the city. Yeah,
that's true.
That's incredible. So what's your favorite room in the house and why? Because there's so many great ones.
It's like asking to pick your favorite child. Almost.
Yeah,
I would say if I have to say what my favorite room is, I would say it's the sitting room.
Yeah. So that's on the second floor, looking west over Withrow Park.
That's
your
right.
favorite. Are you sure it's not downstairs in that really cool entertainment room with the custom-made white oak table there? Because that's a pretty cool room.
Comes close.
Yeah.
Yes, comes close.
So that's awesome. So what about the outside? Because I know you've got multiple areas outside where you can hang out. So can you talk to me a little bit about where your favorite spaces are, or why you decided to have 2 patios facing west?
Basically, depends on the time of the day, on the function. So we have one that's right off the entertainment room that is designed to be almost as an extension. It's very private, little cozy nook. Then we have the backyard with a deck and some greenery that you can enjoy. There's 2 terraces overlooking the Withrow Park where you could sit. If you have friends over, then the larger terrace is a perfect spot to be. Wow. And the most private and the terrace that people almost don't see from the street at the top is off of the master bedroom, where you can enjoy a nice cup of tea in the evening looking at the old downtown.
Wow. And you've put a little bar up there just in case, right?
Yeah. Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. And I know people will want to know this. You and your wife are not builders. You do this just purely out of passion. Where does this come from?
Well, we're not architects either.
Yeah.
We just love designing spaces that we live in.
Wow.
So it's a privilege
Yeah.
of being able to design your house the way that you like it.
Right.
And we're very happy to be able to do that.
Can you tell me a little bit how you designed kind of the kitchen area to the walk out the backyard, and how it's conducive for having friends and family over?
We try to use the space that we have in multiple ways.
Right.
So when designing the kitchen, we try and hide your standard kitchen elements. So fridge and the freezer and dishwasher and so forth. The appliances are hidden inside cabinets, so you don't necessarily see them. A faucet in the kitchen sink could be lowered if you don't need it, so it's not obtrusive. So you create another space by removing
and
utilitarian elements.
Right. Is that a play on kind of the Japanese modernism?
Yeah. Just as in Japanese design, you move a piece of furniture or a tatami and you have a sleeping room or you have a living room. Mm-hmm. So that is sort of an idea of using the space economically.
Absolutely, yeah. And just lastly, I wanted to ask you about the master bedroom. It's almost like its own individual ensuite. And you design it as such so that the elevator could literally go from the ground floor all the way up to the master bedroom and never have to stop at another floor.
Since house was being built pretty much from scratch, that including a feature like an elevator
Yeah.
is an important addition,
Right.
because that will allow one not to have to move out of the house if
Right.
your health
Yeah.
deteriorates. Or
Listen, this is again one of the most unique houses that I've ever seen. The details are endless. I mean, you know, it would take us hours to go through them all. All I want to say is congratulations. I mean, this house is truly spectacular. You've really achieved something. It really does feel like something that stepped out of New York with, you know, a modern flair to it. So like transitional. I really want to thank you for your time, and yeah,
thank you, Adam.
awesome. Thank you. Thanks.